So first and foremost, we really need to talk about the controversial aspect of this book, and that's the customizing your origin section. It effectively allows you to take like a stock set of racial features, as opposed to what you would get for your player race. Some people say that it effectively makes the racial choice meaningless, in a la sort of Skyrim, where none of the races really matter. You can pretty much play anything whichever way you want, and it doesn't matter. Whereas other players say that, you know, this is what allows them to play the race and class combo that, you know, they were looking forward to, that they had in their heads. And both really have a merit, but it strikes me as kind of a nature and nurture debate. Yeah, the nature being your racial attribute buffs, and the nurture being what you roll at level 1. That was always the way I saw it, but then again, one side of this discussion do tend to more of a social constructivist bent, so yeah, it's sort of understandable that they would sort of take that position on this kind of thing. Further on as well, with the features like the optional class features in Tasha's, it seems like this kind of thing is relying heavily on player communication. Of course, they are all optional, so the DM does have the right to say no at any time, but I can very much see a player sort of factoring in these optional features into their character purely because the DM didn't say no. What strikes me about all these features, though, is that they kind of play into the sort of the Munchkin mentality. And back in 3.5, you know, when you were playing a Munchkin, you know, you say you wanted to have the spotlight, you wanted to deal the most damage every session, you wanted to jump 100 feet in the air and suddenly convince everyone in a mile radius of your argument. That was when you would pick the sort of the crazy race and class combos purely to get the buffs and the spell-like abilities and the effects that you were after. In 5th Ed, it seems like players want those combos, but they also want to be able to play the race and class combo. I don't think it's selfishness. I think it's the fact that there's a slightly different motive on board. You know, in 3.5 it was because you wanted to output the damage and to be the center of attention. In 5th edition, at least the way that this book's written, it seems like people munchkin, quote unquote, out of a fear of their character dying, sort of suggesting that they have kind of a parasocial relationship and that they wouldn't be able to handle a character death. Which seems a little strange, really, because as far as I'm concerned, you could get some really good quest lines out of, you know, character death, someone becoming a ghost, having to retrieve their soul from any of the outer planes that is in D&D lore. But, you know, maybe some people, they experience kind of a, I don't know, like a break, a dichotomy, like a break with their expectations, should that happen. It seems to be a theme running through this book as well, because there's a lot more healing and defensive options, not just in the potential subclasses that could someone pick, but also in the optional features lists.